It's Fredo, coach of the Welshons, and I'm here with our draft analysis for Season 13 of EDC in the Ignite division. So EDC is a Pokemon draft league, it's got a Wi-Fi division, and it's got some Showdown divisions as well. You can see all of the rules up on screen. We are using a reduced standard dex. So I will try and show you a little bit of the draft board quickly. And you can see there, there's some of the big things are missing, like a lot of the Paradox Pokemon, some of the big names that you'd expect to see. As you can see, the 19 pointers here: Landorus Incarnate, Hisuian Samurott, Walk and Wake, and Zapdos. So, as I said, this is going to be a draft analysis, so I am going to get straight into our team. This is going to be quite low-key because I didn't realize the draft analysis was mandatory, but I need to upload. So our first pick was the Hisuian Samurott. It's something I've been wanting to try after seeing other people use it. My friend Kaluaboom used it in a Showdown league we were in, and they managed to get a Latias and Iron Valiant with it. We weren't quite that lucky, but this thing is just cracked. Like, if you want hazards, this is your go-to Pokemon. Obviously, we're going to be running with the Sharpness ability most of the time. It's got a Ceaseless Edge, so we'll be able to get some damage off and set up a layer of spikes. As long as we hit the move, 90% accuracy, so it will miss quite a few times because 90% isn't 100% basically. Sharpness ability is going to boost the damage of that. It's also got moves like Air Slash, Aqua Cutter, and other moves that will get boosted by that Sharpness ability. It's obviously water dark type, so it gets some really good coverage, and it's got really good typing defensively. Knockoff, great, we're going to get that stab knockoff. Knockoff spam is great into any team. It's got quite good stats across the board: 90 HP, 108 in attack. Special attack is quite decent. Spadef is quite low, and the speed isn't great, but hopefully we can fix that a little bit later on. So the next thing I really wanted to try out was Archaludon. I've played this in practically every Wi-Fi league I've been in so far, and this thing is just so good. It can do so many different things. It gets a couple of good abilities: Stamina, Sturdy, and, well, Stalwart. Not really going to be using that in singles, but that would be great if we were playing doubles. Dragon Steel type, so I've already covered part of my Fairy Dragon Steel core with just this one Pokemon. We're looking for that roll compression because, as I said, we are using a reduced standard dex, so roll compression is going to be very important. Trying to pick up the good Pokemon and make sure we've got everything covered. We can run a number of abilities. We can run a number of items with this, but Assault Vest is going to go quite well with that low Spadef stat, 65. Obviously, we are going to need to boost that at times. It's got quite good HP, 90, 105 attack, 130 defense, plus the stamina boost after we get hit with an attack. If we're running that ability, we're just going to be a defensive monster. And special attack, 125. Speed, not bad for this kind of thing, to be honest. So it does get some really good coverage moves as well. Obviously, it gets its dragon moves like Draco, Dragon Claw, etc. We also get the Dragon Tail. It gets Earthquake. It gets Dark Pulse. It gets Body Press, Aura Sphere. It even gets Home Claws if we want to be using that. But hey, quite a good Pokemon overall. We get the Protect. We can get some screens up. Roar. It's got some good phasing. It's just good Pokemon. I'm really excited to use this. Oh, I should be putting in some of my nicknames, shouldn't I? Hey, well, you can wait for week 1 for that. So, obviously the first two Pokemon we've drafted both got a fighting type weakness. So the next one we're going to pick up for round 3 is Hatterene. We will never be using that healer ability. We're probably going to be running Magic Bounce all the time because I'm not going to need to know about super effective moves. In PPL NX Stage 1, I went against Travesty, and they had a Hatterene on their team. They didn't bring it, but it just being on the prep sheet made me prep for it, and sort of made me not want to bring the hazards that I would usually bring to a game. So Hatterene is just a good deterrent on the bench. It is Psychic Fairy, so it gets that really, really good resistance to fighting type moves that the Samurott and Archaludon are not going to enjoy. We can also Side Spam. We've got a massive special attack stat of 136, 29 speed, so we're never going to be running a Choice Scarf on this thing, but we can always use Trick Room with it because it does get the Trick Room there. And yeah, Nuzzle, if I want to be paralyzing something, we get the Healing Wish as well. As you can see, it gets some good coverage moves here again. Dark Balls, Draining Kiss, Mystical Fire for those for those steel types. Pain Split to get our HP back. Psychic Noise to prevent anything from using their leftovers, any type of recovery moves. Yeah, so quite happy so far. Obviously, you can see some of the draft come in. Next pickup was Infernape. I wanted to get a good fire type, and I also wanted to get a good fighting type. Infernape does both of those things very, very well. I initially picked this up as one of my Terra Captains. Obviously, we're allowed 2 Terra Captains. It is open Terra, so we just need to let people know what Terra we're bringing before the game. So I was really excited to use Terra Infernape, but had to make some changes later on based on the rest of the draft. So we've got the Ablaze ability, which will be good for some of our Fire Stab moves, like our Flare Blitz, like our Overheat, Flame Charge. Not really going to be using that. But yeah, if we get down to obviously a third of our HP, those fire type moves are going to be boosted by Blaze. Otherwise, we have its hidden ability of Iron Fist, which is really good when you pair it with Mach Punch. Gives us the priority, and we get the boost, an extra 1.2 times power. If you've been around on the Draft League scene, or you've been watching Draft League for however long, you will know Infernape used to be an absolute monster of the scene. It's not quite where it was due to the power creep that's come in sort of the newer generations, but it can still do so much. It's got Stealth Rocks, it's got Earthquake, Encore, it's got Fake Out, so you can have your Sash leads, it's got a number of setups, it's got Nasty Plot, it's got where's the Sword Stance? It's got Sword Stance down here, it's got Switcheroo, Taunt, U-Turn, Will-O-Wisp. It's just such a good all-round Pokemon. It's got pretty decent stats. 108 base speed is not too shabby. And then you can see the 104 in special attack and attack. So yeah, really happy we got the Infernape. Next, I was looking for some speed. And this was probably one of the fastest things on the board. I've been wanting to use this thing in Wi-Fi. I'm quite a big Uzi Gunner fan. His content is just so good, and obviously he uses his uni a lot. So I wanted to try this thing, just see how it goes. Obviously, Wind Power, Volt Absorb, and Competitive. So some really good abilities there. Volt Absorb is going to give us our electric immunity. Obviously, we're electric flying type, so it is nice to have that electric immunity. I don't have a ground type on this team, so this is going to be my only electric immunity. Competitive, if we get any stat drops, then obviously we're going to get the +2 in special attack. Now, this has 105 special attack, add a +2 to that, and oh boy, are we cooking. It's got some really good moves. Hurricane, if we can hit it, 70% is basically never going to happen. Well, it's not never going to happen. It's one of those moves that says 70%, but it feels like it's 10% accuracy. But sometimes you just have to bring it to the game to try and get the KO, or just get the big damage on Pokemon that are going to switch into it. So yeah, it's going to be coming, and I'm probably going to miss loads of them. I've used Noivern quite a lot in Draft League, and I've probably missed more Hurricanes with that than I've ever hit. So we've got the Tailwind, which will be good support for the rest of the team. If the rest of the team is slower, Thunder Wave to slow down the enemies. We've got Agility if this thing needs to get to +2. Quick Attack, lol. Roost, Weatherborn. It's got T-Bolt, U-Turn, and Volt Switch, so we don't have to worry about the ground types. We can always U-Turn on those. If you've watched Uzi's video, then you know what this thing does, and I'm quite excited to use it. Just hope we don't miss too many Hurricanes. Next up, I was looking for some spinners, and I was also looking for a spin blocker. So I've picked up Bramblegast. I've seen this be used in some other leagues. UNPL with Grum, I think, was one of the ones I watched most recently, and I really don't rate this thing, but I've seen it do some incredible stuff. It's just far surpassed what you expect when you look at its stats. It's got a big 115 attack, only 90 speed, but you look at the rest of it, it's just like, how is this thing ever going to do anything? But hey, it gets access to Rapid Spin, it's got that Ghost type, so it will block anyone else on the opposing team trying to go for the Rapid Spin. And when you pair that with Hisuian Samurott, I needed a Ghost type basically. Gets Leech Seed, gets Curse Sable. Protect, Rapid Spin, Power Whip, Poltergeist. It's just got some decent moves. It can set up its own spikes, Strength Sap. It's going to be a bit of a pain for our opponents. So yeah, I don't expect this thing to do an absolute amount for me, but I'm just hoping it can do what I want it to do. Next up, I'm going to pick up Dunsparce. This is going to be my Ghost immunity. Obviously, normal type in. Pair that with our Ghost type in, then they cover the fighting / ghost weaknesses of each other. A massive 125 base HP, and the rest of its stats are pretty decent. Nothing really to complain about there. We get Serene Grace, we get Runaway, which has no competitive use, or Rattled, speeds raised by 1 stage if hit by a Bug, Dark, or Ghost type attack, or Intimidated. So I'm sure we can make some use of that. I played Ellie in PBA, and this thing wrecked me because it was rattled. I think I hit it with like a U-turn or something, I can't remember, or a knock. And yeah, this thing was just a pain. I've seen it do some really good stuff. It gets Glare. Where's Glare? Glare, 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 Glare. Where's the Glare? There it is. Yeah, so we get that 100% accurate paralysis on opponents. Gets Headbutt. So pair that with Serene Grace plus Headbutt plus paralysis. Oh boy. And yeah, you may have noticed in the rules, if you are an astute viewer, that King's Rock is not banned in this league. So we could be a bit of a pain with that, couldn't we? See what we do. Yeah, at the end of the day, everyone's trying to win. The only thing I try to avoid is using accuracy lowering moves against the opponent, because that just sucks. But yeah, we'll get Baton Pass, Body Press, Body Slam, Boom Burst, Calm Mind, number of different ways to set up, some really good coverage. Obviously, Steel types will probably want to switch into Boom Burst, so we get Earth Power or Earthquake, whichever way we're feeling. Flamethrower, just an all-round good Pokemon. Like, look at this coverage it gets. I'm not going to be using Last Resort. We get the recovery in Roost, gets Stealth Rock, gets Tailwind, which I didn't even know until I looked at that. Wow, this is even better than I thought it was. I am actually really excited to use this now. I was excited anyway, but hell yeah. Why don't you guess Yawn? Great. Well, this is me learning. Next, we're going to go to our Cryogonal. So I wanted another spinner, and I wanted to look at ground immunity, because our only ground immunity so far is Kilowattrel. So it's always nice to have more than one ground immunity. So this thing gets Levitate and Levitate only, which is all I'm going to want to use it for. I did want to try and get this as a Terra Cap, because I've seen it as a Terra Cap in some other leagues do some really cool stuff, but it's the way I used my points. I used them on other things like Kilowattrel. I forgot to say Kilowattrel was one of our Terra Caps. So yeah, we get Acid Armor to boost that pitiful 50 defense stat. We got really good Spadef, special attacks okay, good speed, and some decent HP. Probably going to be running Boots on this most weeks, because like I said, I needed a spinner. So spinner plus Boots, yeah. Obviously, we don't want to be taking that 25% each time we come in to try and get rid of them. Get some really good coverage moves, gets Rock, gets Water, gets Explosion, Flash Cannon, Freeze Dry, Haze, Ice Beam, Ice Shard. I believe it got dual screens. It still gets dual screens. We got Recover, triple axle, probably not going to be clicking that, and we get the Aurora Veil as well. So yeah, this is good Pokemon. It's going to do what I want it to do. Got the ground immunity plus the spin. Next, one of my favorite Pokemon, and one of the Pokemon that has always just been very, very good in Draft League. It's got a storied history if you go all the way back to Gen 6, and I'm sure you've seen lots of people use this. Loads of names from the past just swear by this Pokemon. There's not much it can't do. It's got really good stats, 105 from attack down to Spadef, brilliant, with an 80 HP and 80 speed. Not complaining about that. We have got the Stealth Rocks, so we can use that. Stored power, which could be fun. Pretty sure it used to get Bolt Beam. Does it still get Bolt Beam? Yeah, it still gets Bolt Beam, Thunderbolt, and Ice Beam. Gets Healing Wish. So we've got 2 Healing Wish Pokemon. Another ground immunity, because we've got the Levitate ability. It gets U-Turn. It gets Pain Split. Did I see Pain Split? Yeah. Nasty Plot, Trick Room. Just, yeah, you name it, this thing can do it. It's just a good all-round Pokemon. Citrus Berry is going to be a good item on this if I want to be using it sort of semi-defensively, so we can take more than the one hit. Leftovers, this thing could run Choice Scarf, Choice Specs, Life Orb, whatever I want to do with it. Really excited. So now we're going to go into the last 2 Pokemon. These were not the Pokemon I initially drafted. Like I said, I originally had Terra on Infernape, I had Hippowdon, and I had Muck. So I really wanted to try and get Swampert originally, but I couldn't get it. It got sniped by literally a couple of picks before me. So our next Terra Captain is going to be Toxtricity. I think I said that right. That is going to trip me up so much, but hey ho, here we go. It's got a massive 114 attack. This thing gets access to Shift Gear, I believe. Yeah, Shift Gear, so we can get the speed up by 2 and our attack by 1. So raise your attack by 1 on 98, and that's not too bad. The ability Punk Rock receives half damage from sound moves. Great. And we get the boost to our own. So this thing does get Boom Burst. It gets Hyper Voice as well. Yep, I was looking for that there. We've got Psychic Noise, which can be a bit of a pain for the opponent. We've got some good coverage. We've got our Sludge Bomb, Sludge Wave, Discharge. Do we get T-Bolt and Volt Switch? Yeah, we do. We get Toxic Spikes, we've got Toxic, Trailblaze. So there's a number of things this can do. I've seen Gentleman Thomas use it quite a lot. He seems to pick it up in a lot of leagues he goes into. And as a Terra Captain, he usually puts in some really good work. So I'm excited to use this. So finally, I had a couple of people say that my team looked like a rain team. So I was like, okay, I guess I'll get rain then. So I got Poliwrath. I got Politoed. I couldn't afford the Pelipper, and I also didn't want another rock weakness with Cryogonal and my Kilowattrel. So I got Politoed. Yeah, stats are okay. It's here to set up rain, basically. It's got damp as well. We're probably just going to be drizzling anytime I bring this. Not going to be bringing rain every week. Who knows if I'll ever bring rain, but the threat of rain is always there. So yeah, this gets some pretty good moves as well. We've got Earth Power, Earthquake. We get Ice Beam for those grass types that we'll want to switch into it. We've got Hyper Voice for some good neutral hits on a lot of things. Perish Song. So if you've ever seen Politoed be used, you will know that Perish Trap is pretty much one of the things you would always see it do. Got Weather Ball, Belly Drum. Yeah, I'm not going to say I'm going to bring Belly Drum, but I'm also not going to say I'm not going to. Icy Wind, which obviously will allow us to reduce the speed of our opponents. Hypnosis, if we can hit that, 60%. Yeah, I don't know if I'm going to want to risk that. Rain Dance, if I want to bring Water Absorb, but why would I do that when I can just bring Drizzle? Yeah, so Whirlpool, obviously for the Perish Trap. So yeah, this is going to be the entire team here. Oop, spoilers for week 1, but hey. I'm quite happy with the team overall. There's some things that were parts of the draft that I really wanted to get, like I said, Swampert, that I didn't manage to get. But I think I've managed to plug what I wanted to with the rest of them at the bottom. I've got a couple of Pokemon I've used before, like I've used Infernape and I've used Mesprit, but I've never used any of these other Pokemon in Draft League, and this is part of me trying to get as much draft experience at the moment, just trying to use things I haven't used before and just get a better understanding of what these Pokemon can do, so when they're brought against me, or what other people are going to bring into these Pokemon. So yeah, I hope you're excited to see me participate in EDC Season 13. Hope you can leave a like, comment, and subscribe on the video, because I am trying to get back to 300 subscribers. And yeah, let me know who you're excited to see me use. This has been quite a low-key draft analysis, but here's the team anyway. So yeah, let me know what you like on the team, and I shall see you in our week 1 battle. I believe the uploads are Sundays, and we're going against Endless, and as I said, you've already seen the team, so look forward to that one.